Hello, good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you joining us today. We are thrilled to host this special session by the Youth for India Fellowship team. I, Nilesh Tripathi, part of Wi-Fi team and also leading fellowship selection. I will be your moderator today. We are live on both platforms, YouTube and Instagram, and we hope this conversation helps you understand this fellowship better. So I'll quickly brief you about what Youth for India Fellowship is. The SBI Youth for India Fellowship is a 13-month rural development program where we place you with 12 partner NGOs placed across 21 states in India, where you get to work on 12 thematic areas according to your preferences. It's a platform to explore, learn, contribute meaningfully to real development challenges and understand the grassroots, to live with the community, to live that life that you always dream of living with the rural India. So why we are doing this webinar? Because applications for 25-26 batch is live now. You can apply for this fellowship. And I will just quickly touch upon the eligibility criteria. This fellowship is open for the candidates who are between 21 to 32 age, who are the citizens of India, Nepal, and Bhutan. This fellowship is also open for the citizens who are overseas citizens of India. So a quick brief about the fellowship. Now I'll like to introduce the panel for the discussion today. So today we have with us Mr. Gyan Prakash, who is program head of Youth for India Fellowship and also an alumnus from 2015-16 batch. So Gyan Prakash, as a head of Youth for India Fellowship, he also left a corporate path after his MBA from IIT Kharagpur to pursue this rural development fellowship in 2015. And after this fellowship, he have never looked back to that corporate culture, and he is part of the team guiding us, mentoring us throughout the fellowship and throughout the journey. Other than Gyan Prakash, we have Sunayana Chattapati, who is also an alumni from 1718 batch. She is and we she is from 1415 batch. Currently, she is CEO of Pukta Jagriti, and she also transitioned from corporate career where she worked with Infosys, Oracle, and now she moved to development sector after her transformative journey that she took under with this our fellowship. We also have Mr. Shumant Vasist, who is also an alumnus from 23-24 batch. He was in Netherlands before the fellowship, and he was working with corporates there. Now he is head of director of operations at Unboxing BLR, which is a startup in Bangalore, where he's working on innovation and how to use innovation to change the life of rural communities. And last but not the least, we have also have Himanshu, who is also an alumni from 16-17 batch, and he is also an engineer. He was placed with Dhan in Karnataka, and after his fellowship, he chose to work with capacity building at Niti Aayog, where he helped the government on the capacity building commission, where which helped 3 crore civil servants to pursue master's degree in their life. So yes, this is the panel for the today. So I'll ask all the panelists to come on. Hello everyone. Good evening. Yeah. So, the IELTS applications for this fellowship is live. So, a lot of questions are coming in our inboxes, via our social media or emails. Everyone want to know about this fellowship. So, we thought that why not tell them through this alumni who have already done this fellowship across batches, who have choose this path to make changes in the rural communities. So I'll start with a simple question with from each one of you that when you were applying for this fellowship or when you were exploring a job in social sector, why did you decide it? Like why at the first place, why did you decide it, or why did you motivate it or think about social sector and apply for SBI Youth for India Fellowship? Because when like say let's say for Sunaina, 14, 15, like 10 years ago, fellowship was not in picture. So what made you apply for this fellowship? What made you leave your corporate and apply for this fellowship?
Hey, thanks so much, Nilesh, for the question. So way back in 2014-15, when I was working in one of the corporates back then, and every day after a point, I started questioning myself. What am I doing? I stopped finding purpose in what I was doing, and really wanted to do something other than what I was doing. And I started reading a lot of articles on the status of education in India, and that really added a lot of question marks when I read the Asser report, etc. And at the same time, I saw this advertisement for Youth for India. It was restarting after a gap, and it said 1 year in rural India, come make a difference. And I was married back then already, and my husband, in fact, told me that, why don't you give this a chance? Maybe this is something that you're looking for and you didn't know you're looking for. So it's not like I was really sure that this is what I wanted to do, but when I saw what it had to offer, I thought, let me go figure it out. Let me see what this life is going to be, and maybe I'll start finding meaning in what I do every day, right? So I had all these thoughts of course, wanting to change the world and making a difference, but it was a very humbling experience. I'm sure we'll talk more about that. But yeah, I think just having those questions of wanting more meaning in my everyday is what prompted me to apply for the fellowship.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Sunana. I think you applied for this fellowship to find a meaning. So now we'll go to Sumant, who is from very recent batch and who was in Netherlands before this fellowship. So Sumant, what made you apply for this fellowship and leaving Netherlands and coming to India to do this fellowship?
Right. So thanks, Nilesh, for the introduction, and hello to everyone here on the call. So I think, like what Sunaina sort of mentioned, right? So all of us at some point, start asking some important questions to ourselves, right? Like, what is purpose in what we do, in what we kind of want to give back, right? So that's always sort of was there for me at the back of my mind. So I was in the Netherlands for about 6 years. Had sort of the perfect life, if you can say it, in terms of having a good job, was settled in, but something felt amiss, right? So when I came back home after work, I wasn't really feeling the kind of satisfaction that I was hoping for, right? And then I think one day I just asked myself, if I don't do my job tomorrow, does it really matter? Is it going to impact anyone's life by any means, right? And the answer became quite clear, that no, it doesn't. It's sort of, it doesn't really matter. So that sort of feeling became stronger and stronger. And then I think I reached an inflection point where I decided, okay, I need to change this. This is the opportunity for me to, just jump in and see what is there, what is available, what can I contribute from my experience. So after post about a decade of working in the corporate space, I realized I had built some skill sets and some, this experience that I have gained. Can I put this to some use where I can, touch someone's life with it? So while I was kind of dabbling on this idea, I came across the Youth for India Fellowship, and it seemed like the perfect opportunity where I'm like, okay, I don't know if I want to jump into the social sector and NGO sector yet. So this seemed like the perfect, platform for me to explore. Like, what is it like to be, part of this sort of social sector or development sector? What kind of work happens? So I came with that mindset. Somewhere down the line, I also realized having this expectation, I want to change someone's life in 13 months. I was like, that's, it's being delusional about it. But let me take this opportunity to see what is happening, right? So I'm someone who grew up in a city all my life. So I had, read about what life in a village is or seen it in movies. So I thought, okay, this is a great, way to explore what rural India looks like, right? Like, majority of our country actually lives in villages. We speak about it. We see it in the news, or during COVID, we read about migration issues that has happened, and we're like, oh, this is sad. But what happens? What is the background behind all of this? So that was the curiosity that kind of drove me strongly towards taking this opportunity with the Youth for India fellowship program. And yeah, I think I will probably touch upon this, like Sunaina mentioned later on, in terms of what our journey has been, what our takeouts has been. But I guess that was sort of my trigger to leave what I was doing, leave the country, and jump straight from Amsterdam to a remote village in Bihar. So that that was sort of that I came in from.
I hope that leap of faith was helpful during your fellowship, Suman. Thank you for sharing that. Now I'll move to Himanshu, who is from 1617 batch. So Himanshu, what was your motivation? Like, what inspired you to apply for this fellowship 8 years back?
Thanks. 8 years हो गए. Oh my God.
Yes.
Thanks, Nilesh. Hello, everyone. Hi, Suman, Sananya, Gyan. Um, so, very honestly, I had no idea what social sector meant. I had no idea that social sector existed when I applied for it. I had just come out of, I mean, I had graduated, I was working, I was in a job, was getting paid quite well. But I think similar to what everybody said, like there was a sense of purpose that was always the driving factor. And I see that in a lot of other fellows also. And that is kind of, I think, the motivation behind me too, behind me applying to the program too. Uh, it started off as a purpose. In fact, when people would ask me in college, what do you want to be? My response would be farmer, because I found it to be really, really challenging and fun to do. And when I graduated as an engineer, naturally, I was too far off from agriculture practice because it requires understanding and specific skill sets to be in agriculture, or to be a farmer. But fellowship seemed like that one interesting place where I could potentially challenge myself and understand how how problems are solved, how problems which matter are solved, and not just the problems that make you money. So that became a prime motivation. In fact, there were just two criteria when I looked at the fellowship itself while applying. One, will it be fun? And number two, does it align with what I want to do, or my general direction or purpose of what I want to do? It fit in well with both, and I completely agree with someone. Like even then, I was like, I am not going to make any difference in 1 year, and nobody really can. It's really about you learning, you understanding, and you opening up a little bit. Uh, I thought before the fellowship, because I grew up in rural India myself, and I really thought the fellowship will not be able to teach me something new that per se, like expose me to the new world or something like that, because I've seen the world. Turns out not really, because India is so diverse. India is so different in all these places that you can be in. Rural areas in Karnataka, Andhra, Tamil Nadu are very different from rural areas in Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, or even up north. And that understanding that there is so much difference and net a commonality, like no sugarcoating. For example, inefficient agriculture, poverty have commonalities across, but at the same time, there is some common thread to how people feel about it. So effectively, the combination of both addressing this larger issue, social sector issue, and the fact that it sounded fun to do was the key motivator. And later on, obviously, retrospectively, I can say a lot of things that made sense. But if you ask my positioning back then, it was just this. Over
Thank you
to
so
you.
much for sharing that, Himanshu. I think finding a purpose led you to this fellowship. So good to hear that. Now I'll move to Gyanji and BTech from and BITS Misra and then MBA from IIT Kharagpur. What made you to apply for this fellowship at first place?
Thanks, Nilesh. Looking back, it's very old, I think 10 year back. Uh, so at that point of time, somewhere I was inclined toward the social sector. My volunteering started during my college day at Kharagpur. And after Kharagpur, when I joined the company, I was also engaged partially with our CSR work of that company. So at that moment in 2015, I was contributing to social sector through volunteer work, through part-time work, but I was also enjoying my work in supply chain. So it's like there are two kind of work, and I'm enjoying both. But as a career, which is going to be full time and which is going to be part time, for that, honestly speaking, I was confused basically at that point of time, uh, which career to pursue. And both the career I was enjoying at that moment. And uh, supply chain, obviously, I worked in that sector for a few years. But when it comes to social sector, my engagement was always uh, for short duration by volunteering or part-time engagement. And I told myself that to get the clarity in my life, I should definitely try a development sector full time. Uh, Give myself 1 year to get completely engaged in the sector, and then decide which career is right for me. So that was my motivation, to get clarity in my life, to get clarity in my career, to get clarity whether I should pursue my passion or whether I should pursue the work which I'm good at, which was supply chain. And thankfully, this fellowship, I did the fellowship, and at the end of the fellowship, the goal of getting clarity in my life was very clear. Uh, I thoroughly enjoyed the fellowship journey, and I realized that uh, more than enjoying the work, I was also very happy and content doing what I was doing in development sector, and that's why I decided to continue in development sector. To answer your question, the motivation was definitely to get clarity in my personal and professional life. That's why I decided to do the fellowship.
Thank you so much, Ganji, for sharing that. No, it's I can understand when you are happy with both of your jobs, but you choose to choose development sector. That's a very brave choice that you made back 10 years back. So thank you for that. So now we'll move to Suman. Suman, so I just wanted to touch upon that. Now you were in Netherlands. You have 10 years of work years. So and you got this selected for this fellowship. So when you had this fear. No, you are leaving a well-settled job, a country which is paying you more, which have all the facilities, and you have also confusion about the fellowship that uh, how your journey after fellowship would be. So how you overcame it? Like, was that an easy decision, or you are full of doubt, confusion? No, we all have when we want to leave our comfort zone. So what was that fear, and how did you overcome that?
Sure. Yeah, thanks for that, Neeraj. So I think, okay, let me maybe go through the different stages, before the fellowship actually happens, right? So there is the stage right now most of you are in, where you're trying to get the information about this from different sources. You've gone through the website, you've probably read some blog posts, then you're having this interaction with people who've been through the journey. So this creates a sense of excitement, right? So we're going to be sharing some stories where you are going to be reading stuff about what all is there, and it plays in your mind that, oh, this is great, this is my Swadesh movement, I'm going to probably grab onto. You have all those playing out. Now, step two of this is bringing it to some form of reality, which is where your application process comes through, right? So that's where things started becoming a little bit more serious for me. Beyond the fantasy of doing this fellowship, when I started my application, so I gave it everything. I really, more than applying, using the application as something to sell myself in terms of what I've done and why I'm good. I used it as a way to kind of really understand, do I want this? Do I want to do this? What will this fellowship really bring to me? What is the value it will add to me? How does this fit into the largest plan of things, right? So it wasn't like a one day process. I just sat before the deadline and wrote it. I gave it a significant amount of time. It was a whole month of thinking, writing, reflecting, because each question, if you go through in the application, is also designed such that you're able to reflect upon, why are you doing this? So in my opinion, if you've written that with all honesty, if you've thought about it from the angle of, why does this make sense for me, by the end of that application, I think you come to an understanding of why you want to do it. So for me, irrespective whether I was in Netherlands, having a job, all of that, application, writing my application, I was already there. Then the next step is, you get through that, then you have the interview. So Gyan here is sitting. So Gyan was in my panel as well. I don't know if he was there in the other panel. So he obviously went like a Swiss knife, like cutting through and asking, "Are you sure this is for you?" Right. So there is a level of maybe understanding you have, or you've come to some conclusion, and then there is another person who acts as a sounding board, right? So the reason he's asking you those tough questions is, again, to, if you're not clear at that stage, you'll probably fumble, or you're in confusion again. But that process of the interview is also largely for you to, again, be very sure of, is this what you want? and you'll find answer. I'm not going to say that you're going to find 100% reasoning in that, but you come closer to what you want to gain out of this fellowship. And I think that is very important in this application process, for you to understand what is it that you will take, right? Sure, there is job opportunities, all of that, but what is the core of it that you want to take out of this fellowship? That needs to be clear, in my opinion, for you to get over this fear. Because for me, when in this entire journey, when I came to the point where I got the acceptance, for me it was a matter of joy. It was not a matter, there was no deliberating then that, oh, should I do this, should I not do this. In a matter of a month, I just packed my life and I moved, right? Because by then I'd already known that if I get this, I'm going to move. So I think this is how I saw it. And I'm also someone who, once I take a decision, I don't think about, oh, what if that. You jump into it and you give it 100%, right? So I knew that this is, when I dive into this, I'm not going to look sideways or think, oh, was this a good decision or bad decision? Because you're quite clear of what the expectation out of this is, and you try to gain that, achieve that expectation to its fullest. So I think this is sort of how I went about it, from application till the day of joining.
Thank you so much, Suman, for sharing that. I think the application process, as you mentioned clearly, that itself is a very thorough process, which also helps you rethink about your decision to apply this fellowship, or why you want to really apply for this fellowship. So I think you took 1 month, few candidates even take 2 months to apply, fill that long form that we have. And it's an introspective form. You have to, go back and think about yourself, that why you really want to apply this for this fellowship. So thank you for sharing that, Suman. Now I'll move to Sunaina. Sunaina, for you, you said as you mentioned, you're already married when you're applying for this fellowship. So for you, leaving a job and then leaving a family was also a concern, no? So how, like, what made you to convince your family to allow you for this fellowship?
Yeah, I was already married, like I said, and the first concern is, oh my God, you're going to leave your husband behind and go. In fact, in my interview, I was challenged that this is a red flag. We'll not take you because they were just restarting. They didn't know how married people are going to be on the fellowship. So I remember challenging them, saying, you select me and you see. But jokes aside, it wasn't easy for the family to relate to why this girl wants to go to some remote tribal village and be there. And funnily enough, my husband had got an opportunity to move to the US at the same time, right? So we actually I went to Orissa and he went to Chicago at the same time. So my husband was very, very supportive, and there was no challenge in convincing him as such. But my parents or his parents and the larger family definitely threw a lot of questions. And like for Suman, the application process played that sounding board, or the interview process even. I think talking to these people and convincing them also gave me more clarity why I want to do this, right? So when my in-laws or when my parents were asking me why this and why now, because you already have a cushy job post your MBA, you can now go to Chicago, which everyone, many people dream of. And I'm like, no, I want to go to this, I want to go for this fellowship. So yeah, it wasn't too easy, but I think convincing myself was the most important part. And after that, it was easier to gather those thoughts and share with rest of the family. And in hindsight, I also feel it is good my husband was away, because nobody was seeing him all alone in Bangalore. So that way, that was also good. Yeah, I think convince yourself, gather your own thoughts. The rest of it, if you have that conviction, I think it just comes through when you're trying to talk to your family about it.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Sunan. I think these days also we get a lot of requests from fellows that हम तो मान गए पापा नहीं मान रहे हैं. So I think this answer will definitely help them, convincing themselves and then convincing back to their family. So thank you for sharing this. Now I'll move to Gyanji. So Gyanji, you are from Bihar in a small village. So for any people in Bihar, it's going to IIT is a dream, and you went to IIT. But after going to IIT, what made you to choose this fellowship when you have a well settled job? You were working supply chain, and then you're also handling CSR at that time. So handling CSR and then applying for this fellowship and choosing this path, where you never look back, and 10 years now you're into the system. You're helping other youth to make this decision. So tell us something about that. How difficult for you, for to convince your family, because your family, you had a dream, IIT wala tag. So yeah, please touch upon that.
So I think I was convinced. I was not confused on that front. I was convinced that I deserve 1 year for myself to get clarity in my life. But when it comes to family, definitely it was not easy. First, they could not understand what fellowship is. एसबीआई का पीओ का जॉब पता है उनको, लेकिन एसबीआई का फेलोशिप है वो समझाने में मेरे ख्याल से सालों लग गए कि फेलोशिप क्या है. So that was a difficult part, and one of the aspect was also key after my MBA and when I started working. I think I was close to 31 when I was doing the fellowship. So they were thinking about my marriage also. तो अचानक से उनके मैरिज के प्लान में फिर ज्ञान जो है अपना नौकरी छोड़ करके कहीं पे जा रहा है जहाँ पे 16,000 उसको मिलेगा. So it was disturbing every plan of my family. जो लड़की वाले हैं उसको क्या बताएंगे कि 16,000 कमा रहा है वो बच्चा, और फिर शादी का क्या होगा, ऑलरेडी 31 ईयर हो गया है आपका और शादी कब करोगे फिर. एंड मोर देन दैट, गांव वालों को क्या जवाब देंगे कि बच्चा को आईआईटी में पढ़ा करके 16,000 आपका बच्चा कमा रहा है. नो वन इज गोइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड कि आईआईटी में पढ़ने के बाद फिर आपको 16,000 कैसे कमा रहा है और बच्चा फिर नौकरी भी छोड़ के आ रहा है. तो इट वाज वेरी, and looking back I feel कि it's totally fair on the parent front. Something जो उनके लिए important है, सोसाइटी के लिए important है, और उनका जो बैकग्राउंड और एक्सपोजर रहा है, they were concerned, and their concern were real and I think genuine concern, and वो किसी भी parents को होता है. What worked for me is giving them very clear timeline कि give me 1 year, give me 13 month, और आप जो शादी की बात कर रहे हो जस्ट फेलोशिप कंप्लीट करने के बाद आप फिर जहां जहां बोलोगे वहां फिर हम लोग शादी की बात करेंगे. We will go into marriage वाला front. And similarly, when it comes to work, don't worry. This is 1 year. After 1 year, we will definitely work on the getting settled and taking care of finances all. तो वो clarity दे दिया था. Although I have convinced, they have done the favor of allowing me कि हाँ ठीक है जाओ, but they were not fully convinced. वो उनके बातों में उनके जब भी शाम को फेलोशिप के टाइम पे बात होती थी वहां पे भी झलकता था. I think during fellowship when I invited them to my project location, I think it was around May month. I joined in October and they came to my project location in the month of May. And they spent 3-4 days with me. They met the community members जिनके साथ मैं काम करता था, and they have observed me. And they can see that उसका बेटा जो है, उसका जो बच्चा है वो बहुत खुश है, एंड वो चेहरे पे भी दिख रहा है, बॉडी लैंग्वेज में दिख रहा है, हर एक जगह पे दिख रहा है. एंड दे हैव विजिटेड मी इन कोलकाता आल्सो व्हेन आई वाज अर्निंग ऑलमोस्ट 10 times मोर देन दिस टाइम. सो एटलीस्ट मम्मी को वो पता चल गया कि यहाँ पे कुछ तो है विच इज मेकिंग मी वेरी वेरी हैप्पी एंड सेटिस्फाइड. एंड वो पापा को भी फिर धीरे धीरे समझ में आ गया. एंड देन दे सेड कि ठीक है जो कर रहे हो हमको समझ में नहीं आ रहा है बट करो, आई कैन सी कि इट इज गुड फॉर यू. एंड हम लोग फिर बात करेंगे फेलोशिप के बाद. एंड दैट्स हाउ उसके बाद से माय जर्नी हैज बीन लिटिल बेटर बिकॉज दे हैव द अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ व्हाट इज द इफेक्ट ऑफ सच वर्क ऑन मी. एंड फर्स्ट टाइम इफेक्ट जो ग्राउंड पे दिखता है, जो कम्युनिटी लोग जो बात करते हैं, they were talking about it thankfully, and thanks to them they talked about me in my absence. And then as a parent you definitely take pride when someone is talking and appreciating your hard work and effort on the ground. So it was a collective thing, and eventually it took my family some time to understand what I want from my life. And right now they are aware that what I want, what I enjoy, and what is good for me. So फैमिली को कन्विंस करने में मेरे ख्याल से जो जर्नी है वो एक लंबी जर्नी थी, 2-3 साल लग गए हैं इस चीज को, लेकिन शुरुआत में ऑब्वियसली फेलोशिप वाज वन ऑफ द फैक्टर.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Gyanji. And family is generally concerned about our future. So I'll now move to Himanshu to touch upon that what after fellowship and how, this fellowship helped you to grow in your professional and personal journey. So what was the skill set that you learned through living in the community, and then how this skill helped you later part of your professional life? So if you can touch upon that.
Thanks, Nilesh. First of all, let's start a little broadly to say कि fellowship के बाद क्या करना है. It's an open canvas. You're not restricted to just working for a NGO or a specific sector just because you did fellowship in that. But because fellowship opens your mind up to a lot of things. Like literally the tagline of the fellowship is unlearning. It's still the same, right? Yeah. So you start by unlearning, and you can only understand it after you leave, because when you reflect back, there is no way that you're going to understand somebody's pain if you come with preconceived notions. And that's the genesis of it, that you absorb, you feel, and then you build skill set to use it later in whatever field you want. Now, I can only give you my personal take on it, that what you could potentially do and what I gained out of it. But let me break it down into buckets. Let's say behavioral first. What did I gain in behavioral wise? Number one thing I gained was probably patience. Like I was generally quite patient in general, but fellowship teaches you really, really to be patient. Like for example, the first thing that you learn is that you are there. They didn't ask for you. It's you who's learning. So you have to be super patient. And that kind of carries on much later also, that everything that you do, it's you and you filling in a role. So you have to prioritize yourself, but at the same time, be very, very patient with people. And especially for social sector, cannot underline it enough. Second is in behavioral, I would say just communication and building consensus with people. Because in fellowship, a lot of our fellowships are very बहुत अलग अलग तरीके के हमारे projects रहते हैं. बस in some cases आप farmer group के साथ काम कर रहे हैं. In some cases you're working with women group, children groups. Very, very different set of people. And ultimate objective for everything is building consensus, because you are literally selling your project to them that, hey, you have a problem, I can solve it, but here is a solution that I want to sell you on. And building that consensus is very difficult. In fact, in a lot of cases, we actually don't, quite frankly, because एक साल में impact दिखता नहीं है, and impact इसलिए नहीं दिखता because behavioral change नहीं होता. It takes while. And that building consensus in whatever shape and format, like for me, building consensus पहले तो सिर्फ इतना था कि मुझे रहने को जगह मिल जाए. Somebody agreeing enough to open up their house and let me stay there and believing that I will not do something shady is big enough consensus. These two things. Now, if I move to more hard stuff, the skills that you can learn from it. Very early on in the fellowship, I think this is one of the most beautiful things about the fellowship, and you should do more of, is the initial onboarding or induction जो हमारी होती है. Like for me, like I said, I had no idea that social sector existed or the word social sector existed. To me, NGO होते हैं. Social sector as a sector was a new thing to me. And to learn about things like you can do a transact walk. Like to a lot of audience who's listening to this, probably this is a new word. To me, it was. And it's such a simple concept that you walk to the village, note down everything that is there, make a resource mapping plan and all that. You learn that. And that's a hard skill. And you cannot unlearn it after that, because everywhere you go, irrespective of whether you're a small, big organization, you kind of start thinking like that after a while. So a lot of these hard skills for me, specifically transact work, creating reports, not the best ones, but abhi AI aa gaya hai, so it might need to be rethought of. But creating reports, making presentation, making sense, and some of this ties back to the behavioral, because to present to a person who understands agriculture like a professional, उसको तुम जाके जितना भी बता दो कि इसमें processing कर दे, you are the one who's telling him. You are the one who's amateur there. So you got to communicate accordingly, and that skill set is also a hard skill set, not just a behavioral skill set. That you can't do a presentation. ये PPT देखो मेरा, इससे समझ में आ जाएगा. Like you really have to break it down in some other form of presentation tools, whatever works for you. In some cases, it could simply be कि प्यार से बात कर रहे हो. As simple as that. And some difficult cases could be like, yeah, मैं पहले ये आपका 4 काम करूंगा, फिर आप मेरी बात सुनोगे. That sort of a negotiation. So you might even say negotiation. But zooming out a little bit, I would say इससे बड़ा जो मेरे लिए specifically था कि I ended up working with the government after that in a lot of policy making roles and other places. What I found the most amusing was कि कितना disconnected है sometimes policy making and the ground reality. There are times when I look at a project and I'm like, ये तो नहीं चल पाएगा ground में. Like for example कि भाई सबको जाके बोलेंगे कि अपना जो है ये 10 पेज का फॉर्म भर दो. लोग क्यों भरेंगे तुम्हारा फॉर्म? Like what is the use of it? हम आगे ये सर्वे ले लेंगे, हम ये प्रोजेक्ट में इनको पैसा दे देंगे या इनसे ये बोल देंगे कि आप हम अपने बच्चों को आंगनवाड़ी भेज. क्यों भेजेंगे बच्चे? Like there is a reason why a lot of policies fail is because थोड़ा ground reality missing होता है. And that I'm not claiming that I understand ground realities like a lot of other sector people do, but I genuinely feel that it gives you a touch of reality कि हाँ ये तो नहीं कर सकता, क्या करेगा वो नहीं पता, but इतना limitation आपको पता चल जाता है. And that understanding really helps you much later in, if you stay in policy, definitely. If you move to private sector, there are better people to comment on it. Sumant is there, Ananya is there. But policy space में तो बहुत जरूरी है. Like it that zooming out, the touch of reality, in also a lot of sense, you know, building a program when it comes to larger program design, project design, those inputs really matter. Like I can put a fancier spin to it and call it user-centric design, yeah, human-centered interactive design methodologies. But fact है लोगों से जाके बात करके उनकी requirement समझ के आपको लिख रहे हो. Kind of what you also do in transact work. So there is effectively behavioral, functional, and a larger understanding that you gain is paramount. Like इससे ज़्यादा तो नहीं मिल पाएगा. And in a packed, tight 12-13 months, in some cases, I have known fellows, which is not my personal experiences. It has shaken them up. Like it has shown them realities that are not positive, and that is part of it. Like it's like people have this illusion कि रूरल इंडिया में सब इनोसेंट है, बैठे हैं आपके सोल्यूशन का वेट कर रहे हैं. ऐसा नहीं है भाई. Like it's a real world. Like where people are complicated, people are messy, they are not looking for solutions in a lot of cases. You are looking for a solution that you want to offer, and you have to understand it. And I will quote Gyan here again because I think this has remained with me since he said it. Is that bear with me? This last thing I'll say is कि एक सड़क पे एक अगर कोई I'm not saying it the way he said it, but I'll say it anyway. कि अगर ऐसे कोई कहानी थी कि एक आदमी रोड पे बेचारा ठंडी में भूखा बेचारा रोड के साइड में बैठा हुआ है. कोई एक बढ़िया एक दानवीर आदमी आता है, बोलता है आपको मैं कंबल दे दूंगा because you are very very cold. He buys a कंबल, gives him, goes, feels very nice about himself. कि निर्वाणा मिल गया, बेचारा मर गया जिसको कंबल दिया. पता चला उसने खाया ही नहीं था 1 हफ्ते से. आपने अच्छा काम भी किया, बट आपने उससे पूछा ही नहीं कि चाहिए क्या था आपको. So sometimes just good intentions, good actions are not enough. Like you need to understand, absorb, and then do something on it. And this is also a fellowship learning. So in my opinion, it kind of broadens your perspective and builds behavioral functional skills to some extent, a domain skill also that कि आप थोड़ा बहुत knowledge gain करते हो sector के बारे में, agriculture के बारे में. But all in all, good package.
Yeah, good to hear, Himanshu, that. One fun question. Was it fellowship was a bit difficult or working with government official was a difficult one? You don't have to answer that. Just asking.
It's rooted in reality of my own existence. So my situation is very different, and मेरे हिसाब से तो fellowship.
Oh, okay. So now what we are also, during the last application cycle, lot of candidates were doubtful. They were, no, as we were also were doing, or when we were joining this fellowship, we were also confused, and we were also had that fear that no, if we leave our job and up do this fellowship, what after fellowship? But we all took a leap of faith. So I just wanted to know what, like, do you want to share key takeaways to the candidates who are applying this year, that you know what made you take that leap of faith and how they can, you know, you go on the same path. So
Is this for
like,
me?
no, it's for everyone. So
Okay.
we can start from Sunaina, like any key message for the candidates who are applying.
Sure. My key message would be, all of us who are here, ex-fellows, we didn't have all the answers, or it's not like we didn't have fears when we took this step, right? But there's something that told us maybe go try it. So I would say trust yourself, trust that this journey will really give you those new life experiences, challenge you, and you'll definitely learn and grow. So if you want to grow, I think take that leap of faith. That's my message for all of you.
Thank you, Sunaina. So Bant, what is your key message to the candidates who are applying?
I think what is important is to gain something, you have to get uncomfortable, right? It is important, but when do you get uncomfortable? Obviously, you need to the right environment is needed, and I think the fellowship offers that right environment where you walk in as someone who's curious, maybe anxious about what happens on all of these questions, and you walk out as a completely different person. I think every fellow who's been through this journey can confirm on this, that you are in no way the same person that you entered the fellowship to what you come out of it. It's a lifetime of sort of lessons, experience that you carry with, right? From the community that you are part of to what you've seen, experienced, and lived, what you've contributed. All of that, I don't think any MBA program, any educational program can offer this kind of an experience for you. That is a life lesson, and it helps you grow as an individual. Your personality definitely becomes a lot more stronger. You're not talking in the air. You're someone who's lived through that, rural life and seen those hardships, lived through those hardships as well. So I think yes. So I think I would just say that get uncomfortable. It's okay. All these questions, all these fears come in, but if you feel strongly about it, get uncomfortable and jump in.
So
Yeah, rightly said, Sumant. Getting uncomfortable is the, decision that one has to take when you're applying for this fellowship. What about you, Himanshu? Any key messages for the candidate who are applying?
yeah, I love what Suman said. I think I'll build on it and say ki it's a great place to test your limits. Like literally, it's a very nice structured program. Also, it can obviously everything can do better, but in the confines and safety of what you're given, it's amazing place. And you there is no point where you'll come out of it and you'd be like, I have done everything I could do, and this is it. No, it can never be really. The limit is just too much. Um, and also, if you want to learn a new language, it's super important. That I should have said before. That I think I picked up a new language. Almost everybody that I know picked up a new language.
So did I. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So I think new language is a great motivator. But yeah, to much later when you have tested a limit in that sense, and when you do something else in your life, ki, all right, I can. You build that self confidence that I can do this. It's not impossible. In fact, I might even just say in some cases, just finishing fellowship is a big deal, because to be able to survive in situations that it's some of our, not everybody, but some of our fellows go through, is amazing experience, but an amazing achievement in itself.
Can I just
Thank
add
you.
to this language thing? I think I see somebody's asked the question, is Hindi compulsory? So I just want to take a second and just say, so I come from Bangalore. I could not speak Hindi and I was put in Bihar. And over 13 months, I gave my final presentation in Hindi. And I think Gyan can convert to that. That yes, so I think like what Himanshu said, you get to learn a new language. And today I'm quite comfortable in Hindi and conversing thanks to the fellowship.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the added advantage. Like I also learned Odia during my fellowship, which was very new for me. So now I think moving to program head, who is leading the program. Any key message for the candidates who are applying? Ganji, Ganji, are you on mute?
Again, you're on mute. Sorry.
Sorry. The first important thing is for candidate. We have given everything very transparently on our website, on our social media. They can go through YouTube channel also, and they can talk to our alumni also on LinkedIn and other social media platform. The first thing is whether this program is for you or not. And if you are interested after reading about the program, after talking to every people, and if you feel that this program is for you, then question is for you. What is stopping you from taking the leap of faith? It's just 13 months. And by God grace, you are going to live for 73, 72 years because that's the average life expectancy in India. And just 1 year taking out for yourself because you feel connected to this fellowship and you deserve it. You deserve this 1 year for yourself. That's the question. And do you want to give yourself that 1 year? I think it's up to you to decide whether it is good or bad. Look back and look at all the decisions which you have taken in your life. Sometime you have selected some teacher, some tuition, some college, some school, some friend, some boyfriend, girlfriend. Whether everything, every decision in past they work for you, I think it only time will tell what worked for you, what not. At this moment, if you feel connected, then go and try it. And there are only certain amount of option in your life where you feel genuinely feel connected to. And if you try it, and after trial, if you feel that okay, this is not something which I want to pursue forever, bingo, you got some clarity. You are moving in your life forward because out of 5 options, one option is gone. Now you have to try only 4 options to find the purpose of your life. So you're getting closer to find the purpose of life if you start trying everything where you feel connected to. I truly believe that you should be doing what you enjoy. If you are enjoying your coding, I think you should be in this coding space and do coding everywhere. But if you feel connected to the development sector, if you feel that you should go on the ground, be with someone and contribute to their life, I think that's the right time because there will be no right time in future. कभी ना कुछ रहेगा कि ये बाद में कर लेते हैं, वो बात कभी आता नहीं है. तो अभी आपके पास मौका है. Before you get into so many responsibility, अभी आपके पास मौका है. यदि आपको एक कनेक्शन फील हो रहा है, then give it a try. And I always say that it's not about our fellowship. यदि आपको वो कनेक्शन किसी और चीज में भी फील हो रहा है, give it a try. Because you deserve it and your life deserves one chance. What you are giving is giving yourself one chance. And see whether it is working out for you or not. Okay? That's the message. Eventually, it's your personal decision. All of us can share our, but at the end, it is going to be your decision and you have to own it. Best of luck for your application.
Yeah. All right, Ganji. Give it a try is the message we all did, and now it's time for candidate to give that try. Now we'll take some live questions. I think uh, all those audience who are watching this, if you have any question, feel free to drop in the text box. I think we have few questions. What type of opportunity open after completing this fellowship? I think Himanshu very clearly covered this question. Is English language compulsory for this fellowship? Sumant rightly said that no, he learned Hindi, so I learned Odia. Himanshu learned Tamil. Yeah, yeah. You want to say
Nilesh,
anything?
sorry. In the last question, I think we can be a little more specific about what opportunities. I think immediately the exposure. Please just feel free to add on, everybody. I think it immediately gives you an opportunity to work with the nonprofit that you've worked with or that you're placed with, because they appreciate the skill sets and you are generally a good desirable candidate for the nonprofit sector in general, and also nowadays government, because you understand the reality. So I would add on to that in addition to what we had said before.
I think I can give from the perspective of, let's say, if some of you here are in the corporate space, right? And then you're making a transition. So it gives you two lines of thinking. One is this the right opportunity for you to shift to non-for-profit? I know that a lot of non-for-profits now look at people who come from the corporate world with a like sort of taste of reality of what the rural sort of issues are in development, right? So this is a good bridge to kind of look at when you go into. So a lot of organizations are looking for such candidates where you have a sense of reality and in that corporate space. In addition to that, let's say you've done this, then you realize this is not your cup of tea, but it's still not a wasted time. Like I think what Gyan mentioned, right? Like you one eliminated this option off, but I think it gives you a lot of skills that you learn on the field, right? So I used to lead teams before, and the way I lead teams now is very different from how I lead teams before. You gain on those skills, so you go back. You can also go back into the corporate space with a very different perspective, a new touch to how you want to do things, and just because of how dynamic it is when you're on the field solving problems for that impacts people's life in some way. You take that learning as well if you want to go back to corporate. So overall, I think people value this experience. I think also I've been talking to some of my co-fellows who've been going through interviews, and they've also told me that there is a heightened sense of confidence when they walk into an interview because you've done something substantial in that 13 months. So I think these are some key takeouts from a career standpoint, right? What will basically change post the fellowship.
Yeah, thank you so much, Himanshu and Suman, for sharing and addressing that question because a lot of candidates, when we were applying for the fellowship, we were also there have this doubt that what after fellowship, because we are leaving our corporate job, well-settled job to go and ground and test ourselves. So yeah, all right, there are more questions. Does the SBI Wi-Fi fellowship pay? Yes, we pay you. There's a 16,000 stipend, followed by 2,000 of project support, 2,000 of travel allowance, and 1,000 for fellowship support. Then we have questions, sir, selection mail kab aayegi? So we are already reviewing the process. You have applied for the fellowship because it's a long form, and this year we have received overwhelming responses. So this year we have around 2.5 lakh registration and 60,000 submitted application. So yeah, the team is reviewing those application, and hopefully we'll get back to you very soon on this. Uh, we have a question on interview process. Like last year, we'll be having a physical interview, which will be conducted across 8 cities in the month of last month, in the month of June, probably. So we'll starting from second week of May to last week of June. That is the how when the interview process will be done. I'm already an associate in SBI. Can I also apply? Oh yeah, this fellowship is also open for the employees of SBI, specifically in scale 1 and scale 2. Oh, will I get a job in SBI after this? No, definitely not. It's a SBI Foundation Fellowship. I think I covered a lot of questions. If you still have any questions, please put it in chat box. Our panelists would love to answer your questions. So there's one question: will our workplace will be near to us or so far? Do we have a choice of location? Anyone want to answer this question?
I want to. So just a context, you're given, you're supposed to give your options that these are the places. You'll definitely not be given your home state. And you're ideally supposed to be given one of 5 options. But the reason I wanted to speak is because you could be given none of your 5 options. Gyan, looking at you. So just saying. No, so summarizing it, no, you don't get to choose.
Yeah, and I don't think it should matter either. That is what I've at least gained from it. There is some thinking that the SBI team, along with the partner NGOs, think based on your profile what you want to do and all of that, and they see a fit based on that, and just trust them through this process, right? And don't get obsessed with which location. We all start with that I want to go there. None of that works out in that sense.
Yeah, so when it comes to location, I think there was one more question on security also, that how safe it is in rural India. And so I think Gyanji, would you like to consider answering
Yeah.
this question?
So this is not our first year. We started in 2011, and 11 batch has completed the fellowship, and 12th batch is on ground, 82 of them. So since our partner NGO, they are well established partner NGO, very reputed, very respected partner NGO. So, and they are working in the project location for last many years, and that's why I always say that you are as safe as you are in your current space, be it city, town, or something. Because when you go to the fellowship, go to the project location, you are part of the family or extended network of the NGO. Everyone associate you with that particular NGO. And since NGO is working in that particular area and they are living in that particular area for many years, I think safety security is taken care from that perspective itself. You are no more a stranger in that particular area. Our fellow, they feel safe, and that's why they stay there, they complete their fellowship, and they uh, always remember it very vividly, and they connect it to the fellowship journey.
Thank you, Gyanji, for taking that question. There's one more question on alumni community. Like we have 640 alumni. So how is the supporting system through alumni? So Nana, would you like to answer that question? Like when 640 alumni come in to help any can co-fellow
Yeah.
or co-alumni. Yeah.
Yeah, I think what is really beautiful about the fellowship is how the alumni are so closely in touch, and how the Wi-Fi team is so closely working with all the alumni, right? So I think there is going to be no dearth of information, mentoring, motivation. Somebody somewhere has already been in the place you will be allocated to. They've gone through the same kind of challenges, the same kind of experiences. So I think you can really feel assured that there is going to be this whole support system from the Wi-Fi team and the extended team of alumni. And it's not just in the fellowship, but beyond the fellowship as well. Like so many of you are asking about the opportunities post fellowship. I think that network again is so strong that post fellowship again there are possibilities for you to connect with the alumni, explore opportunities to learn from them, work with them, get mentorship with them. I'm really grateful for this community.
Thank you so much, Sunana, for covering that question. We also have a question from audience that do we get accommodation? No, we don't get accommodation, but partner NGO definitely help us in finding a suitable place into that village where you will post it. So yeah, like indirectly you get accommodation, but directly you don't. There's one question on does this fellowship is for fresher from the college? No, how does this fellowship helps a fresher from the college? So anyone want to take this question?
I don't mind taking, because I think there were quite a few people in my batch recently. Right? So it was last year who came in as freshers. It helps you from the perspective of you're actually doing real work. What happens is maybe if you join an organization or a company or whatever it is straight out of college, right? Like you're doing a small part of a bigger work, right? And most of the time you don't even understand, what exactly is happening at an organization level. Like how does what work I do really matter and things like that, right? So you're executing a lot of things. You don't get into why we're doing what we're doing. But here it's different. It's your project. You start from gaining skills of how to design a project, right? How does that go? वो कैसा होता है? मतलब कहाँ से शुरू करते हैं? Budget कैसा build करते हैं, right? You cover like very kind of technical things that you will do with a couple of years of experience in that during the fellowship, where you learn some hard skill sets, and you work on actual projects. You see that whether it works or not is different, right? And at the end of the day, you've put the work in taking a project from an idea to its end state. Also, I think one key critical part is understanding the needs of your community. What does the community need, right? So need assessment is something you do. Maybe so these are opportunities as a fresher you might not get in your first job, and maybe over years you kind of get all of this. So here it's kind of condensed in that 13 months, and you put you jump straight into it, and you get to explore all of these. So as a fresher, I think it does make a lot of sense as well. Kind of, yeah, from a fellowship perspective.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Sumant. I think this will definitely help to all the freshers who are applying for this fellowship. We'll close this question answers round with one question on inclusivity, like uh, how inclusive was the uh, culture? Because we all come from different culture, and the structure of fellowship is that we are placed in a very different culture that to our the parent culture. So, Sumant, you would like to touch upon that, like how inclusive it was for you coming from Bangalore and doing your fellowship in Bihar.
Yeah, I think even in our batch, right? So we had people from all over the country. Someone from we had someone coming from Kashmir, to someone coming from Kerala, to like Gujarat, to West Bengal. So we had people from all over there, right? And our language um, strengths are also quite different. So I might be comfortable in an English. Somebody else is more comfortable in a Hindi to communicate and express. But even during the induction and even like post that, we were able to communicate with each other in whatever language. I would speak a little bit of Hindi and English. Somebody else would try their English and Hindi. So I don't think language is a barrier. Your background, where you come from, doesn't really change anything. We're all one family as we get together, and all of that anyway goes for a toss when you go to a village, right? So somebody from north is likely to be in, let's say, Tamil Nadu, where they don't speak Hindi or English. So then you're like, okay, what do I do? Or someone like me going into, I still remember going into my first meeting with the community. There were 30 people sitting, and like the NGO took me and they're like, "Abhi ye baat karenge," and I could hardly stitch two sentences together. And they're just looking at like, what is happening? This person is supposed to come and help us, right? And then you figure it out. Like that's the point. Like there is a problem, and you figure it out in on the go. So in from that perspective, it's very inclusive in terms of it doesn't matter what your strengths are in terms of a language, what culture you come from. You integrate into a new culture anyway. So it doesn't even matter what your strengths are. So I think that is what I feel it is about when it comes to inclusivity.
Okay, thank you
I
for.
just want to add in just a minute, Nilesh. I think there's a lot of fear around is the interview in English. All of us here are mostly speaking in English. So no, I think it's repeatedly shared that any language is fine. I just want to share one of the happiest moments for me was when a child I taught. He grew up, so he's from this remote tribal village, speaks mostly just Odia, and he was a fellow. He joined the fellowship, right? So whether you're from an urban, rural, tribal background, irrespective of the language you speak, whatever, wherever you come from, I think the fellowship is open to all of you. It's just you having to make that decision to, take that leap of faith. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Sumant and Sunan. I think your anecdote definitely helps to clear all this question. Yeah, so we'll close this. Thank you, all the speakers, for sharing such heartful and powerful insights. It has been truly inspiring and definitely it inspired candidates also. And to all the audience, if today's session has something sparked, like something sparked in you, whether it's your curiosity or your purpose of applying for this fellowship or courage to take that leap of faith and go to the rural communities and help them. So our application for 25-26 batch is live. You can go to our website, youthforindia.org, to learn more and apply. And the last date for this application is 30th July. But I would definitely say that don't wait for the last moment. Apply now. And we'll also be doing another webinar on 19th April, which will be covering different aspects of fellowship. Yeah. So that's all from our side. Thank you so much, Sunaina,
Thank you,
Gyanji,
Nilesh.
Himanshu, and Sumant, and everyone who joined us on the live. Yeah, let's continue to build change one step at a time. That's all I can say. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Nilesh. Thank you, everyone.
You. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bye bye. Good night.
Good night.